Imagine a world, right, where data isn't just this overwhelming flood, but it's more like a powerful river, channeled, directed, creating incredible insights. I mean, the sheer volume of information being generated daily is just mind-boggling. But how are businesses actually turning that raw, often messy data into useful, actionable intelligence and doing it at scale? That's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? Today, we're doing a deep dive into the very engine that's driving this transformation. It's the global data science platform services market. Think of it as the critical infrastructure. It allows companies not just to collect data, but clean it, analyze it, build these sophisticated predictive models, and then deploy those models to automate really complex decisions right across their operations. So our mission here today is to unpack the explosive growth of this market. We want to understand what's really behind these, frankly, astonishing numbers and reveal what it means for how businesses operate, how they innovate. Basically giving you a shortcut to being deeply informed about a trend that's fundamentally reshaping the global economy.
Absolutely. And it's important to note, we're grounding this discussion in solid data. Our insights are coming directly from a detailed, very comprehensive report by Cognitive Market Research, so that lends immense credibility to the scale and the trajectory of this phenomenon we're about to explore.
And when we talk about scale, yeah, we mean enormous. Just listen to these figures for a second. In 2021, the market for these data science platform services, it was valued at $54.543 billion. Now, that's already a massive number, right? But here's where it gets truly astonishing. By 2025, it's expected to more than double. We're talking $131.8 billion. And then, well, hold on to your seats. By 2033, it's forecasted to soar to an astounding $769.594 billion. That's expanding at an impressive compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, of 24.679%.
Wow.
That's not just growth, that's like exponential acceleration.
Yeah, it really is. And what's fascinating here is that this isn't just random expansion. This meteoric growth, it reflects a global, undeniable acceleration in adopting AI, machine learning, advanced analytics. Across nearly every industry sector you can possibly imagine, companies are leveraging AI, and that covers everything from, say, smart automation to really complex predictive analytics and machine learning, where algorithms learn from data patterns. They're using it to make supply chains more efficient or customer experiences way more personalized. And these data science platforms, they are the backbone for all of that. They let enterprises manage the entire data lifecycle. So from data ingestion and cleaning, which, let's be honest, is a massive pain point for so many organizations.
Well, definitely.
All the way through to model development, deployment via MLOps, and then continuous monitoring. It really sets the stage for exploring how different regions are contributing to this massive wave. Each one has its own sort of unique trajectory and drivers.
So these global numbers are just staggering. I mean, to put that almost $770 billion figure into perspective, that's approaching the GDP of some, mid-sized countries.
It is.
So beyond just the general buzz around AI, what's specifically happening right now that's driving companies to invest so heavily in these platforms? Is it just the sheer volume of data? Is it the accessibility of cloud computing now? Or maybe a shift in competitive pressures?
It's truly a confluence of factors, I'd say. First, the explosion of data from every conceivable source. You've got IoT devices, social media, transactions, everything. It's creating this overwhelming flood that, well, traditional tools simply can't manage anymore.
Right.
At the same time, the maturation and, crucially, the accessibility of cloud computing have removed a lot of barriers to entry. Suddenly, powerful computational resources are available on demand, pay as you go.
But perhaps most critically, the competitive landscape has just fundamentally shifted. Companies that aren't leveraging data science are finding themselves rapidly falling behind. They can't optimize operations, understand customers deeply, or innovate at the speed that's required today. These platforms, they consolidate all those disparate tools, they break down data silos between departments, and, maybe most importantly, they democratize access to advanced analytics, often even for business users, not just data scientists, which is, well, it's a game changer.
That's a really crucial point. Democratization. Okay, so it's clear why this market is exploding. Now let's zoom in on the regions, because the report, it paints a very interesting picture of how this growth is playing out globally. First, let's turn our attention to North America. It seems like they continue to lead the charge here. This region generated a whopping $20.01 billion back in 2021, and it's projected to hit $47.514 billion in 2025 before exploding to $267.819 billion in 2033, still maintaining a really strong CAGR of 24.13%.
Yeah, North America is definitely dominant. And what's noteworthy about it is its role as a real hotbed of technological innovation, and particularly early adoption. The United States alone accounts for the lion's share of that growth. It's projected to go from about $15.8 billion in 2021 to over $208 billion by 2033.
Wow.
This dominance is driven by, well, a deep pool of venture capital, a strong focus on enterprise-level digital transformation,
Yeah.
and of course the presence of numerous tech giants and startups that are both platform providers and early heavy adopters themselves.
Mm.
But Canada and Mexico are also significant contributors. Canada is expected to grow from roughly $2.6 billion to over $37.5 billion by 2033, and Mexico from around $1.6 billion to over $22 billion in the same period.
Okay.
So this indicates a broader regional commitment to leveraging data science. Mexico, in particular, is seeing pretty robust growth as it integrates further into global supply chains.
That North American growth is certainly impressive. But Europe presents perhaps a slightly different dynamic, wouldn't you say? I mean, Europe also shows robust expansion. It's moving from about $11.9 billion in 2021 up to $28 billion in 2025, and eventually reaching $158.5 billion by 2033, actually growing at a very similar CAGR 24.159%. Are we seeing the same drivers here, or are there, regional distinctions at play?
Europe offers a really fascinating contrast, actually. While it shares those fundamental drivers, like digital transformation, its unique regulatory landscape, particularly with GDPR, plays a significant role, a much bigger role than in the U.S., say.
Ah, right, GDPR.
Exactly. This has driven demand for data science platforms that really prioritize robust data governance, privacy by design, and compliant data handling. It's non-negotiable there. So we see significant contributions from countries like Germany, projected to grow from about $2.2 billion to over $32 billion by 2033. And that's with a very high CAGR, actually over 25%. This reflects Germany's strong industrial base, its focus on Industry 4.0, where data science is absolutely critical for optimizing manufacturing and supply chains, that sort of thing. The UK and France also show strong trajectories, hitting over $26 billion and $19 billion respectively by 2033. It indicates a widespread adoption across major European economies, but often very much compliance-driven adoption of these platforms.
Okay, so while the West continues its strong climb, the truly explosive growth stories seem to be unfolding elsewhere. Let's shift our focus now to the rapidly accelerating markets, starting with Asia Pacific. This market is expanding at the fastest pace globally. The report notes an impressive PITISHAR of 25.749%. So from roughly $13.8 billion in 2021, it's set to climb to $34.5 billion in 2025, and then skyrocket to $215.5 billion by 2033. What makes their trajectory so uniquely rapid?
Asia-Pacific's phenomenal growth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's driven by several key factors. You've got massive mobile adoption, far higher penetration in many areas than the West,
Yeah.
a burgeoning digital native population, and very strong government initiatives pushing for digital transformation and smart cities.
Yeah.
China, for instance, leads the region. Growth from about $4.5 billion in 2021 to over $72 billion by 2033. That's heavily influenced by its strategic national push for AI leadership and also data sovereignty concerns.
Mm-hmm.
But India is truly emerging as a global tech powerhouse here. It's showing the highest CAGR in the report, actually, 26.69%, growing from about $2 billion to over $35 billion by 2033.
Incredible.
India's growth is fueled by a massive talent pool, a really vibrant startup ecosystem, and increasing demand for data-driven solutions, especially in sectors like fintech and e-commerce. And other countries like Japan, South Korea, Singapore, even Southeast Asia collectively, they're showing solid growth too. It indicates a broad and rapid digital transformation right across the continent, often characterized by this leapfrogging effect over older technologies.
Leapfrogging. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, moving south now. The South American market is also seeing a significant surge from about $3.4 billion in 2021 up to $8.4 billion in 2025. And finally, reaching just over $50 billion by 2033. That's at a strong 25.023% CAGR. What are the key drivers in this region, especially for countries perhaps still building out some of their core tech infrastructure?
South America's growth, it really underscores a fascinating global trend, which is that data science isn't just for mature tech economies anymore. It's becoming foundational for countries building out their digital infrastructure. It allows them, in many cases, to leapfrog traditional development stages.
Interesting point.
Brazil alone is expected to grow from about $1.2 billion to over $17.5 billion. That's driven by its large consumer market and increasing adoption of digital services, especially in finance and retail. Argentina and Colombia will also achieve substantial revenues, hitting over $10 billion and $8 billion respectively. The focus here is often on leveraging data science for, say, resource optimization, particularly in agriculture and mining, which are big sectors there. And also improving public services. It demonstrates a clear business case even in less technologically saturated markets.
Right, applying it to core industries. Okay, and then we have the Middle East. Data science platform services seem to be quickly gaining momentum there, too. This region is moving from about $3.16 billion in 2021 to $7.7 billion in 2025, and projected to peak at $45.5 billion by 2033 with a 24.87% CAGR. What does this investment signify for the region's economic future?
This growth in the Middle East is highly strategic,
Yeah.
very deliberate. Countries like Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Turkey,
Uh-huh.
they're spearheading this development. Projections show them reaching well over $7 billion each by 2033. It reflects a very deliberate effort to diversify economies beyond traditional oil and gas. They're investing heavily in smart city initiatives, digital governance, and fundamentally trying to create knowledge-based economies.
Makes sense.
And data science platforms are absolutely crucial enablers for these ambitious natural visions. They allow for advanced analytics in sectors like tourism, logistics, finance, ensuring a more resilient and, well, data-driven future for the region.
A strategic imperative, really. Lastly, let's talk about Africa. The report shows the continent is steadily integrating advanced analytics, revenue growing from about $2.2 billion in 2021, projected to $32 billion by 2033 at a 24.258% CGR. What unique challenges or maybe opportunities is data science addressing on the continent?
Africa's growth, yeah, while it's starting from a smaller base figure, it's incredibly promising. South Africa is a key player here, expected to grow from just under $900 million to over $13 billion. But Nigeria and other African nations are also contributing significantly to that $32 billion total. The continent often adopts mobile-first strategies, as we know, and data science is being leveraged there to address really unique regional challenges. Think about areas like financial inclusion, healthcare access, agricultural efficiency.
Right, real foundational needs.
Exactly. These platforms are empowering local innovation. They're allowing businesses and governments to make data-driven decisions that can, again, leapfrog traditional development models and hopefully foster widespread economic development. So we just step back for a moment and consider the profound impact of this whole market. What's really clear is that it's not just expanding in size, right? It's fundamentally transforming how economies innovate and how they compete globally. It's truly a foundational shift in how value is created in the 21st century.
It certainly is. And the core value proposition of these data science platforms, as this report just so vividly highlights, is that they're absolutely crucial for unlocking value, for driving automation, and enhancing decision-making across an incredibly diverse array of sectors and regions. You know, whether it's empowering hyper-personalization for retail giants back in North America, or optimizing those complex supply chains in Germany, or driving financial inclusion via mobile platforms in India. Every region is tapping into data science. And this isn't just about big tech anymore. It's about every enterprise, large or small, finding ways to harness the power of their data. And as we've seen through these numbers, this market promises just immense opportunities, not just for the established platform players, but for investors looking for growth, for technology providers building complementary tools, and of course, for enterprises worldwide who are looking to capitalize on this undeniable data revolution.
Which really brings us to an important question for you, our listener. Given this rapid global acceleration and the truly transformative power of these data science platforms, how might your industry or perhaps your area of interest be reshaped by this wave? And maybe more importantly, what insights from this deep dive today can you leverage to navigate and maybe even capitalize on that future? Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to really cut through the noise on today's big topics. And today, it's all about data. It's the fuel, right, for almost every decision now.
Right.
Understanding it is just crucial. So our mission, our deep dive today, is focused on a specific fast-moving area, the global data science platform services market. We want to give you a kind of shortcut, pulling insights from market analyses, tech reports, the latest thinking. So you get the key dynamics, the hurdles, the trends shaping it all.
Exactly. And understanding these platforms is, well, pretty vital for navigating the digital economy today. This whole segment is transforming so quickly, it's actually quite fascinating to watch.
Okay, so let's dive in. What's really driving this explosion in data science platforms? We know data's everywhere, but what makes these specific platforms so essential right now?
Well, the primary force, no question, is just the massive, massive amount of data out there and the huge demand to actually make sense of it all. Businesses are, almost drowning in information.
Drowning, yeah. Where's it all coming from?
Think about it. You've got IoT devices, customer interactions, back-end systems, all these digital channels just pumping out data constantly. And these platforms, they're the tools that provide the scale, the speed, to turn that flood of raw data into actual insights you can use.
So they filter the noise, basically.
Precisely. Convert the deluge into precision. And that ability is pushing companies, big and small really, to invest. They see the need.
That makes sense, turning the fire hose into something usable. But data science used to feel, well, pretty exclusive, didn't it? Like you needed serious coding skills. How are platforms changing that?
That's the second big driver. It's what people are calling the democratization of AI and machine learning. These platforms often have much more user-friendly interfaces, sometimes drag-and-drop tools, pre-built algorithms,
And
automation.
get easier for non-experts.
Exactly. It empowers people sometimes called citizen data scientists. So users who aren't necessarily deep tech specialists can actually build, test, and deploy predictive models.
So who's using this? Which industries?
Oh, it's broadening adoption everywhere. Retail, healthcare, finance, manufacturing, you
Yeah.
name it. Wider accessibility is putting these powerful tools into many more hands, which is, well, transformative.
Incredible. And thinking about how businesses actually work, collaboration is key, right? People don't work in silos. How do these platforms fit in there?
That's another crucial piece. Collaboration is fundamental. So there's huge demand for platforms that support that workflow. They provide integrated environments, think tools for version control, making sure everyone's on the same page.
Right, avoiding confusion.
And reproducibility, so one team can validate another's work. That builds trust. And very importantly, data governance.
Governance, like rules and standards.
Yeah, ensuring data quality, security, compliance. It's not just about ticking boxes. It improves productivity and, crucially, trust in the data itself.
Okay, so those are some powerful drivers: growth, accessibility, collaboration. But it can't all be smooth sailing, can it? The
Yeah.
road to adopting these tools must have some bumps. What are the main challenges people should know about?
You're absolutely right. It's definitely not without its hurdles. Probably the biggest restraint many organizations hit is just the complexity of integration.
Integration,
Yeah.
meaning getting it to work with existing systems.
Exactly. Most companies have this mix, right? Legacy systems, maybe some cloud services, databases on premise. It can be a real tangle. Trying to consolidate all your data pipelines and analytics onto one new platform, it's tough. It can cause big delays in deployment.
And probably hits the budget too.
It certainly can. Delays impact the ROI, the return on investment, which leads to the next challenge.
Cost.
Cost, yeah. High platform subscription costs are a very real barrier, especially the really powerful enterprise-grade ones with lots of AI built in. You're looking at pretty substantial licensing fees, ongoing subscriptions. For smaller businesses, startups, that can just be too much.
So even if they see the benefit, the price tag is a blocker.
It can be, yes.
Yeah.
It definitely slows down adoption for some segments, even when the potential value is clear.
Okay, integration, complexity, cost.
Yeah.
What else? There's always the people factor, isn't there?
Always. The human element. There's still a persistent shortage of skilled talent. Even with these more user-friendly tools we talked about, getting the full potential out of these platforms, that still needs real expertise.
Like what kind of expertise?
Things like data engineering, deep machine learning knowledge, optimizing the models,
Yeah.
it's still quite specialized. So while the tools help, they don't eliminate the need for those skills. And many organizations really struggle to find or train people who can navigate these platforms effectively.
So it limits how much value they can actually get.
Precisely. It's like having a high-performance race car but not enough skilled drivers. You're not going to get the best lap times.
That's a good analogy. So the citizen data scientist idea helps, but doesn't solve the whole problem. We still need those experts.
Yeah.
Okay, so challenges are real, but innovation doesn't stop, right? This is where it gets really interesting. What's coming next? What new trends are shaping the future here?
Well, one really significant trend is deeper integration with what are called data mesh and data fabric architectures.
Data mesh, data fabric. Sounds complex. What's the idea?
Think of it less like one giant central data lake and more like a network. Data mesh and fabric are decentralized models. Different business units can kind of own and manage their own data products while still having overall enterprise governance. It matches how businesses often actually work.
Okay, more distributed. How do platforms support that?
They're building in virtualization and orchestration tools specifically for these models. It allows for more agile, domain-specific analytics. It's a big shift.
Interesting. So data's getting more distributed. What about making the data itself smarter? I've heard talk about AI-driven semantic layers.
Yes, that's another key area. Platforms are starting to build these intelligent semantic layers, basically using AI to automatically tag, classify, enrich the metadata around the data.
Making it easier to understand what the data is.
Exactly. It makes data much more discoverable, more usable across teams. It helps with cataloging, with lineage tracking, knowing where data came from, and it really boosts cross-domain analysis. Ultimately, it helps users find the right data faster, understand its context, and get better insights, like an AI librarian for your data.
An AI librarian,
Yeah.
like that. Okay, one more trend. You mentioned embedded virtualization in SaaS apps. What's the big deal there?
This one's potentially a huge leap for usability. Modern cloud SaaS platforms, software as a service, are now starting to include virtualized data layers. These layers can connect directly to external data sources right within the
So
application.
you don't need to move the data as much.
Largely, yes. It can eliminate a lot of the traditional ETL extract, transform, load processes, which are often slow and complex bottlenecks. Instead, you get support for real-time analytics right there in the tool you're using. It makes things much simpler for the user and speeds up getting insights dramatically.
Bringing the analysis to the user, not making the user chase the data.
That's a great way to put it. It reduces complexity and accelerates that time to insight.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this deep dive up. It seems the global data science platform market is really being pushed forward by, well, a few key things. This massive data growth, obviously. Then the rise of more intuitive AI tools making it accessible. And this need for collaborative, but also maybe more decentralized analytics.
That captures it well. And yeah, while those challenges we discussed, integration, cost, the skills gap, they're still very real. They haven't gone away. But these new innovations, things like the semantic layers, the embedded virtualization, they're definitely paving the way for the next wave. More intelligent, more self-service analytics.
So final thought for everyone listening, what does all this mean for you? How will you interact with data differently in the future as a learner, as a decision maker? And how might these shifts really fundamentally change how businesses operate, how they find value in information? Something to ponder. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive today.